Whether it's a weekly food shop, new shoes or furniture you're purchasing online, many sites give you the option to buy now and pay later when you check out.
However, a leading debt organisation has exclusively told this programme they've seen a surge in people getting into debt using this service.
So what exactly is buy now, pay later and how does it work?
Well, it's a form of short-term lending where you can still pay in full there and then, or at a later date, split the payment over a longer period in instalments.
In most cases, it's interest-free and so shouldn't cost to use, but some companies charge late repayment fees.
Well, it's estimated that over 26 million people in the UK have used buy now, pay later.
Debt advisor Money Wellness say that inquiries around debt caused by using buy now, pay later have surged threefold in the 12 months to August, from 408 people last year to over 1,200. We're now joined by Bank of Dave's Dave Fishwick and mum of two, Alannah Simpson, who says the only way she can afford to buy groceries is by using buy now, pay later loans.
Good morning to both of you.
Very good morning.
Alannah, let me come to you first, actually. What is your experience? So how did you use this buy now, pay later sort of system and scheme?
It first came about when the cost of living was really quite at its highest, and we obviously had, I think, about a 4 or 5 month old baby, so the price of formula was really expensive. And then obviously with being on like benefits and things as well, there's like a particular month each year where it's literally halved and there's nothing you can do about it. So we were really struggling to get food, and that's at the time when we realised that we could actually use something like that, and that's when it started.
So it's offering you the option to then stagger those payments rather than pay it in one lump sum. What was the issue then with when you started to do that?
It becomes a very kind of vicious cycle of paying, and then obviously if you miss a payment, you get a late payment fee. But then also it's the fact that if you miss a payment, you can't use it until you've paid off that payment. So it just builds up and builds up. So even though it's great at the time, it's just constant all the time.
Dave, there'll be a lot of people at home right now who will have used these schemes, or at least we've seen them. I wasn't aware of it. I remember now, actually, you go to checkout, you see that. It's there. It's so easy to click and be part of this scheme. There were people at home now struggling with money, thinking, is this a good thing to do? What's wrong with it? Where do people slightly go wrong? Because on paper, it feels like, well, this is quite a good thing, isn't it? And a lot of people probably will be using it in the right way.
Do you know what? It's a brilliant question. The buy now, pay later industry.
Thanks. hope the editor recognised that. Yeah.
Big tick for you
Thanks very
well
much.
done.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, the buy now, pay later industry, it really does need regulating. I mean, for some people, if you take a loan for 3 months and pay it back immediately after the third month, it don't cost anything. So people think, oh, I'll have a bit of that. The problem is, if you need the money in the first place, what chances are you going to be paying it off? I've actually had people call me at Burnley Savings and Loans and ask me for a loan for baby milk, similar to what you have. And what the buy now, pay later industry really needs is the FCA regulating customers. So the FCA, by regulating these industries, customers then have got somewhere to complain. We need affordability checks. All regulated businesses need to do affordability checks. Now, what that means is they look to see if you can afford it. Do you have a job? Do you earn enough money? Can you really afford to buy that? Now, Consumer Duty come out recently, which is a new FCA regulation. These buy now, pay later companies don't have to adhere to Consumer Duty at the moment, treating customers fairly, TCFs.
Well, we just have to say, apparently, we've got to be fair here, because some companies are FCA regulated and they are following the rules. They're doing everything proper, but I suppose not all of them. Some
no,
of them.
that's right. Some of the big ones, they just advertise whatever they do. They don't think about what they're advertising. Now, there's FSMA rules, which means that when you do advertise something like a buy now, pay later, you don't have to put all the terms and conditions on because you're not regulated. And then you've not got Section 75 protection. So when you go along with a credit card and you buy something, normally, you then have joint liability with the credit card company, where if you buy something with a buy now, pay later, you have no protection. So I've been speaking to ministers. We really do need this thing regulated. They're asking for regulation, all these companies, but I'm not sure they really want it.
Just to be clear, so the government has now launched a consultation on proposals. They're going to aim to bring buy now, pay later companies under the supervision of the Financial Conduct Authority and apply the Consumer Credit Act. So the aim is that that's where it's heading to. So, you know, if people do want to use this type of payment scheme, then at least the companies involved will all be regulated.
Do you know what? The poor always seem to pay more. And myself, Kate Hemingway and Carl Hem here at GMB have been looking into this for months, and we've met lots of people like yourself, and they just seem to end up with the tough end of the stick, you know. They end up having to pay more, where people who use this system and have it for 3 months and then pay it back, it is good for them. But the poor end up paying more.
Well, and the trouble is, you know, we're coming up to Christmas, aren't we? We're coming up to a time when people want to spend money on their families, buying presents. And for you, Alannah, then, you've had a stressful time, haven't you, with sort of managing to balance these payments. What's the situation like for you at the moment?
So obviously being disabled and things like I can't physically go out and work. And then work opportunities are obviously very slim for people like myself, and then obviously having 2 children. When it comes to Christmas and things, a lot of people, when it comes to like buying Christmas presents, they'll go all out on one day and it'll be, okay, I'll go on a shopping spree, I've got my Christmas presents sorted. But for me, I have to continuously buy little bits throughout the year, even with the buy now, pay laters, just so I can afford to be able to give people Christmas presents like, you know, my son.
And are you able to manage the situation that you've got with the debts that you've had from the buy now, pay later schemes? You know, how stressful has all of that been for you?
It can be quite stressful. So sometimes it'll be fine and money will be, you know, because I know what I'm paying, and, you know, I might have like a better month where I don't need as much. But then the next month might come along and say, for example, if I'm running out of formula, nappies, the kids need new clothes, that month is then going to like impact the month after, because then I've got more to pay
So
back.
it can have a snowball effect. I mean, Dave, this regulation, the trouble is, you know, even if it does come in, won't be till 2026.
That's
will
the
it?
problem.
In the meantime, as I said, we've got Christmas coming. You know, it's a really difficult time for people, isn't it? What can they do?
It always affects the poor and vulnerable, and that's what worries me. We need a net for people to fall on, to bounce back up into society and contribute to society. I met a lady called Janelle who borrowed £600, as you'll see in the news, and it ended up being £6,000. And she only borrowed it to buy shoes and school uniforms and food for her children. She's a nurse, you know. It's not just people on benefits that are borrowing these loans. So you need to get as much help as you can. If you're in trouble, you need to go to the lender and you need to say, look, I'd like you to freeze the payments, I'd like you to extend the loan with smaller payments, I'd like you to take a look and do anything you can. You can go, like the Money Wellness Centre that I visited, that you'll see in the news on your programme with Kate. You can go to places like that. That is brilliant. They've hundreds of people there that are on the phone helping you. There's billions of pounds of help available. And it's out there. You've just got to get online, make that phone call and really push, because that's where the change starts.
I mean, you look at what the underlying cause is, and it's clear that there's a lot of people that need money. And we've got a poverty issue in this country. Like, I don't think we've quite realised how bad it is for people. And a lot of people who've still got jobs, but just earning not enough money. I mean, you must see it all the time, Dave. People that you wouldn't have imagined are in debt are getting into debt.
Well, I think one of the shocking ones, I mean, I've had people write to me for money for IVF treatment because the big banks wouldn't lend them the money for IVF because they said there's nothing we can take back. And I was like, this is a child, you know, that's how bad this has got. There's a local school wrote to me. And what we do is we use some of the money that we make at BCL to then give to the school to feed the children. Yeah. Now, when you've got children coming to school hungry, you've definitely still got a financial problem in the world.
In your world, you must be keeping an eye on this big, all-important budget that's coming from Labour in a couple of... What are the things that you're really looking for, hoping for from the government to help the poorest in our society? What do you think they should be doing, Dave? Well, you're a man on the street. You're speaking to people.
What I'd like to see is those with the broader shoulders need to take more of the strain. So those with money in this country should be helping out those who really need that bit of help. Like I said, when you've got bonuses being uncapped, but then on the other side you've got children coming to school hungry, that needs to stop. And I'd like to see this energy tariff put back on. I want to see people in the 60s and 70s getting the money for the energy bills. How could we have our own people being cold this winter? If people are borrowing money at 45 and 50 of these loans, some of them have got 50 loans. If people are doing that just to pay for food for the children, the world's gone bonkers. That needs to change.
Situation, is it? Dave, thank you very much. And Alannah, thank you for coming in to share your story with us this morning. We do appreciate it. And just to say, if you have been affected by any of the issues we've been discussing, then you can always find advice and support at itv.com/helplines.